Hey everyone, welcome back to eCoreAcademy. It's me again, Ranen Shakir, back with another pre-algebra video. And this time, as you can see by our heading here, is going to be about place value. So, place value is how we determine how big or small a number is. A little description right here. And I have this nice little graphic here, which I think is funny. But it says, the 1 is saying to the 0, you make me feel 10 times stronger. And the 0 is like, without you, I'm nothing. We're going to talk about what this actually means. It's going to be powers of 10, which is a concept in place value. So before we get started, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and share this video with everybody you know. That'd be really helpful for our community as a whole and for you guys as well, because the more support we get, the more videos we're able to get out to you. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. All right, as always, first off, we define what in the world is place value. So place value is a given value of each digit in a number, and it goes off by the powers of 10 system, because the number system we use is a power of 10 system. So what this means is that an example right here, we're going to go for a bunch of examples and talk about what this means, but just for right now, an example is that in 10, the value of the 0 in 10 is 0, because the value of 0 is always 0, and the value of the 1 in 10 is 10. Another example, 256. The value of the 6 in 256 is 6. The value of the 5 is 50. The value of the 2 is 200. And if we look at these numbers and we add them up, we see that 10 plus 0 is 10, goes our number. We see that 200 plus 50 plus 6, 256. Cool, that's our number. So this is basically the gist of what place value is, but we're going to go over to more detail right now. So let's look at the ones place to start off. So ones place is the first place left of the decimal point. So we have a yellow marker right here, which is the decimal point. The ones place is the first place to the left. So the value of the ones place is the number itself. Whatever is in the ones place is that number, which we can describe as 1x, where x is the number itself. So in the example, we could have 123. So the value of the 3 in 123 is 3 itself, because if we were to put this into 1x, we get 1 times 3, 3. So with this knowledge, tell me what the value of the ones place is in 525. I'll give you 2 seconds to figure this out, because that's all it should take. And if you said 5, you're correct. The value of the 5 in 525 is 5, since it is its own number in the ones place, as we just said before. So that's the ones place. Let's get rid of this dot right here. So now we look at tens place. So the value of the number in the tens place is 10x, where x is the number. The tens place is 2 places from the left of decimal point. If my pointer right here is the decimal point, 2 places over, tens place. So if we look at the same example of 123, we see that the value of the 2 in 123 is 20, because if we put in the 2 in our formula, which is 10x, 2 times 10 is 20. So your value is 20. And this should make sense to you as well. So if you look at the problem, same number again, what is the value of the tens place of 525? You should get 20, because you plug in the 2 again for 10x, you get 20. So that's the tens place. Now, disclaimer, before we go on, there's infinite number of place values. What that means is that I can't obviously cover them all. If they're infinite, it goes on forever. So we're only going to talk about 3, just so you guys can get the idea and look at what it means. But there's infinitely amounts of place value, both in the whole numbers and decimal numbers. There's infinite. So there's no end. So there's no way I can obviously describe every single place value. But if we have the hundreds place right here, I can talk about hundreds place. So we have the value of the number in the hundreds place is 10x, where x is your number once again. An example, again, 123, we'd have the 1, we plug into our formula, 1 times 100 is 100, so our value of the 1 in 123 is 100. So what is the value of the hundreds place in 525? Solution is 500, because you plug in the 5 into 100x, 100 times 5 is 500, and that should also make sense. So as we described before, the 5 is 500, the 2 is 20, and the 5 is 1. If you add 500 plus 20 plus 5, you get 525 as your final, which is your final number here anyway. So This is a quick just of a decimal place value. I'm going to talk about this a lot more when we get to our decimal unit, because we're going to work with decimals the entire way of decimal unit. But some quick facts here. There's no such thing as a ones place. You always start on the tenths place, so first place value right of the decimal point, which is the first decimal place value. And decimals show part of a whole, not a full whole, and change endings to THS instead of ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So you have tenths, hundredths, thousands. And once again, these are infinite, go on forever. And these numbers are right of the decimal place. So let's talk about the powers of 10. This is the main point of this video, place value. So if we have the number 1, we discussed this is the first number left of the decimal point, we can give it a value of 10 to the 0 power. This is powers of 10. Any number to the 0 power is 1. In this example, we have 10 to the 0 power is 1. So let's move on to the next decimal point, place value, which is 10, which is 2 decimal places over. And in order to get from 1 to 10, you multiply by 10. And so this time we give our value of 10 to the first power, we give the value of 10 to the first power. And this should make sense to you. We multiply 1 by 10, and so that's times 10. 1 times 10 is 10, and our power goes up by 1. So 10 to the first power is 10. This is also another rule, another exponent rule, where any number to the first power is the number itself. In this example, it's 10 to the first, it's 10 itself. We're going to talk about exponent rules when we get into our equations unit and our Intro to Algebra 1 unit, but that's further down the line. But just know for this one, 10 to the first power is 10. Now let's go over one more place value. So we get 100. So we have to multiply 10 by 10 to get to 100, and our exponent goes up by 1. So this is 10 to the second place, 10 to the second power, and that equals 100. So if you look at this, we see how 10 to the first power, 10 to the 0 power is 1, 10 to the first is 10, 10 to the second is 100. We can see the exponent number matches the number of zeros of our number. This is an important thing to realize, because it'll tell you if you have a problem that says what number is 10 to the 100th power, you know you would have 100 zeros. I don't know what the number is, but that's what it means. So let's work backwards. What if we want to go from 100, which is 10 to the second, to 10? We divide by 10. And that means our exponent goes down by 1. That should make sense again. We're just working backwards. Same thing here. Go from 10 to 1, divide by 10. We're back where we started. 10 to the 0 power is 1. So now let's divide some more. Let's go into decimal points. So if we have number 1, 10 to the 0 power, and we want to go to 1/10, we're going to have to divide by 10. This time we get to 10 to the negative first power. So when we start going to decimals, you're going to get negative place values, because these are not whole numbers anymore. They're part of a whole. So 10 to the negative first power is 0.1. If you go from 0.1 to 0.01, which is 1/100ths, we divide by 10 one more time, and we get 10 to the negative second power. Again, this should also make some sense to you since we're working backwards. Now, this brings up another concept, which we'll talk about decimals a little bit more, is that you can see how we are two decimal places, two places right of the decimal place, we have -2. And here we're 2 places left a decimal point, we have +2. So this brings up the concept of negative and positive exponents, which we will talk about in that unit further on, but it's important to realize. All right, so now it's just an overview of powers of 10, where the ones place is 10 to the 0 power, and any number to the n 0 power is 1, or n is any number. And examples here again, we just talked about 10 place is 10 to the first, 100 place 10 to the second, 10th place 10 to the negative first, on and on and on forever. And this is a nice little decimal place value chart, where we have the decimal point in the middle, which separates whole numbers from decimal numbers, whole part, decimal part. We have 1, 10s, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, goes on forever and ever, never stops, infinite. And in the decimal part, we have tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. Again, it goes on forever and ever, it doesn't stop. So now that we understand this concept, let's apply it to a word problem so we can further solidify our understanding. It says if Kevin has 6 $1 bills, 3 $10 bills, and 2 $100 bills, how much money does he have? Use place value to prove your answer. So, Kevin has 6 $1 bills. We know the value of $1 bills is just 1, which represents the ones place. So if you have 6 $1 bills, you have $6. So since you have $6 worth of so you have $6 worth of $1 bills, which is 6 $1 bills. And he has 3 $10 bills, so we know a $10 bill is worth $10. And if he has 3 of those, he has 30. 3 times 10 is 30. And he has 2 $100 bills. We know that one $100 bill is worth $100. And if you have 2, you have 200. Let's visualize this with a picture. So if he has 6 $1 bills, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $6. These are 6 $1 bills. And if we have 3 $10 bills, we have 3 $10 bills, which is $30. So as of right now, we have $30 right here and $6 right here. So that's $36. And finally, we have the 2 $100 bills, which is $200. So in all, Kevin has $236. So again, we have $200, 200 right here, 30 right here, 6 right here. 200 plus 30 is 230 plus 6 gives your answer of $236. Kevin is a rich man. So let's look at one more word problem. It's a little bit higher critical thinking, and we will go over it. So Jeremy has 50 toy cars. Selena has 4 less than 2 times the amount Jeremy has. How many cars does Selena have? Use place value to prove your answer. So I want you to pause this video, try to solve this on your own, and come back when you figure it out, and we'll go through it together. Hopefully you get the right answer. So take a second to pause and work this out on your own. All right, hopefully you're able to work this out on your own. Let's go over it together. So you know Jeremy has 50 toy cars, so that means he has 5 10s and 0 1s worth of cars, which is 50. And we know that Selena has 4 less than, subtraction, 2 times multiply Jeremy. So the way we do this is we take 50, multiply it by 2, so we get 100. We have 50 10s, multiply by 2, we have a 1 100, 0 10s, 0 1s. And then we have 100 minus the 4, which is 96. So Selena has 96 cars. Now, this might be a little confusing, like how did you get 96? Why'd you multiply first to subtract? Well, let's discuss why. So, we know that Jeremy, we're just gonna say J is Jeremy. So we know that Jeremy has 50 toy cars, as it says right here. So we know that Selena has 4 less than 2 times Jeremy. So we're gonna write an equation. Now this is some algebra, so if you don't understand this is okay, but I'm trying to expose you to this since this is a higher level question. So if we have Selena, which is S, we're going to say Selena's S. And if Selena has 4 less than 2 times, the way we have to write this is that we have to write 2 times, we're going to say X, for this one I'll explain in a second, minus 4, which is the same thing as 2x minus 4. So the x in this equation, represents the number of cars that Jeremy has. The reason we write x is because if Jeremy has a different number of cars, it's going to be a different answer. But in this case, we have 50 toy cars. Jeremy has 50 toy cars. So the way we solve this is that we plug in the 50 for Jeremy, that Jeremy has, into the x of our equation. So we're also going to get 2 times 50 minus 4. This is going to be your equation you have to solve. So now we use order of operations. So we know that from PEMDAS, we know that we have to multiply first. So when we multiply, we get, not 5. When we multiply, we're going to get 100. We're going to get 100 minus 4. And then the final step is subtract. And that is how we get our 96 that Selena has. So this is how you should have gotten the answer. So now let's look at a let's look at a different question. So I'm just gonna do it right here, so we don't have to move on to the other slide. So if hypothetically we were to say Jeremy has a different number of cars, let's say that Jeremy one second. So let's say that Jeremy, again Jeremy, you say Jeremy has I don't know, 15 cars. Not 50, 15. He got robbed. So let's say Jeremy has 15 cars. We're going to use our same equation. Let's just say Selena still has 4 less than 2 times Jeremy has. So we're going to have our same equation. So we're going to have Selena is going to have 2x minus 4. And this time our x is going to be 15, since that is the amount of cars that our friend Jeremy has. So when we plug this in, we're going to get 2 times 15 minus 4. When I say plug in, I just mean we're putting in the number of cars Jeremy has into our x. So when we do this, we're going to have 2 times 15, which is 30 minus 4, which is going to be 26. So that is the amount of cars that Selena has if Jeremy were to have 15. But the answer to our question with 50 toy cars is 96, as we discussed before. So if you got 96 for this question, good job. You got it right. All right. So now let's move on. All right. So that was our lesson for today. It was place value. Hopefully you learned something here, and we're gonna use place value all the time. So that was our lesson. So thank you for watching all the way through. Please like and subscribe, and check out our website here at eCoreAcademy.org. And feel free to email us with any questions, comments, or concerns. And all of our socials are in the description box below. eCore is growing really fast, with a lot of new people, a lot of new subjects, a lot of new topics coming in. So hopefully you guys could be a part of this and see what other videos have to come. So, but for now, this has been me, Ranen Shakir, with Place Value, and I will catch you in the next video.